The ancient Greeks used two entirely different words to measure time. The first was chronos, the quantitative clock time. It is the linear ticking sequence of seconds, minutes, hours, and calendars that moves predictably from the past into the future. The second was kairos, the qualitative right moment. It is the non-linear, unpredictable window of supreme opportunity where a single action carries absolute meaning. Most people spend their lives trapped inside the sequence of Chronos. The masters of history waited for Kairos. In September of 480 BC, the largest military invasion force the ancient world had ever seen was tracking perfectly on schedule. The Persian king Xerxes had marched hundreds of thousands of soldiers across the Hellespont. His vast fleet of over 1,200 warships moved down the Greek coast with mechanical precision. They were operating entirely in Chronos, the predictable sequential passing of clock time. By all standard metrics and data points, the conquest of Greece was a simple mathematical certainty. The Persian fleet entered the narrow straits of Salamis, expecting a routine surrender. They looked at the ticking calendar and saw a guaranteed victory. But the Athenian strategist Themistocles was not measuring the day in Chronos. He was waiting for Kairos, the volatile, non-linear moment of absolute opportunity. Themistocles knew two hard physical facts. The massive Persian ships were heavy, and the morning winds in the Straits of Salamis shifted violently at a specific hour every single day. He held the Greek fleet back, forced his men to wait in absolute agonizing stillness while the Persian ships crowded tightly into the narrow channel, bottlenecking themselves until they could barely turn their course. Then the wind shifted, the sea became turbulent, the massive Persian ships began crashing into one another, completely trapped by their own sheer volume. At that exact split second intersection of vulnerability and chaos, Themistocles gave the order to strike. The smaller, nimbler Greek triremes launched forward, decimating the invading empire in a matter of hours. Xerxes had all the hours on the calendar, but Themistocles possessed the exact right minute. The Greeks did not view Kairos as an abstract feeling, they viewed it as a precise physical entity. In the 4th century BC, the master sculptor Lysippos cast a bronze statue in Sicyon to give this concept a permanent physical form. The surviving historical inscriptions left behind by the poet Posidippus describe exactly what it looked like. The statue was rendered as a youth standing on a razor's edge. On his feet were wings, denoting absolute speed. But the most striking historical detail was his hair. Lysippos sculpted the figure with a thick, long lock of hair falling directly over his eyes and forehead. The back of his head, however, was completely bald. The allegory was explicit and brutal. As Kairos approaches you head on, you can easily grab him by the front hair lock. But once you hesitate and allow him to pass you by, the back of his head is completely smooth. You can reach out your hands, but there is absolutely nothing left to grasp. This is the physical reality of time. Chronos is a continuous thread you can always look back. Kairos is a razor's edge that leaves you with nothing if you miss the window. Modern society is engineered entirely to trap human consciousness inside chronos. We measure our worth through quantitative, accumulative data. The hours clocked at a desk, the days logged on a calendar, the sequential growth of a financial spreadsheet, or the number of hours on a digital feed. This is the industrial illusion that constant sequential motion equals progress. But the ancient rhetoricians, including Aristotle, taught that human impact is entirely qualitative. In his work, Rhetoric, Aristotle argued that an argument delivered to an audience is completely useless unless it hits the exact kairos, the precise psychological moment when the listener's mind is open to receive it. If you speak too early, it is noise. If you speak too late, it's dead air. Ancient wisdom dictates that a master of reality stops obsessing over the relentless ticking of the clock. Instead, they cultivate absolute internal stillness, watching the environment with a flat expression, waiting for the precise alignment of elements to strike once with absolute force. You can count every single second of the day, or you can prepare yourself for the 1 second that matters. Do not get lost in the sequence. Wait for the opening.